have a concept. You have a great concept. You guys are doing it, man. And it's an honor for me to just be, a small rock, man, in your mountain. I'm going to pop a top in your honor.
Mr. Doc Walker blessed us with his presence, and now
we want to welcome in our next special guest, Haley Skarupa. She's a three-time world champion in women's ice hockey and most recently won Olympic gold with Team USA.
The Caps Stadium Series is definitely my favorite, obviously. I'm a huge Caps fan, I always have been, and to be there at that game with my teammates and for us to bring, our gold medals to there and share it with everyone in this area was really, really special for me, and just the support and has been tremendous from everyone in this area, and you can feel that there at that game.
Welcome to Sports on the Hill podcast. Hashtag DC Sports Without the Politics with Carol and Robbie on True Radio Network.
And welcome to episode 371 of Sports on the Hill podcast. I'm joined, like always, by the blue liner on point, Gil, and I'm also joined by C4, who was actually at the game yesterday, and we'll get her thoughts on that as well. And welcome to everybody on Facebook and on Twitch and YouTube and Kick as well. I see Carly and Champ are already in chat, and the Washington Nationals defeated the Baltimore Orioles 7-0. That just happened, and so Tim. So I'm conflicted. I grew up an Orioles fan, and I've moved to becoming a Nats fan. So it's not, it's an interesting one for me for sure.
Well, in a few seconds, you'll see why I booed.
Oh no. Oh, you're wearing an Orioles. Yeah, I see that. Yes.
Yeah, I promised my listeners on our show a fashion statement. Here it is. I was actually at the game Friday night. My good friend Earl took me. They played the Reds. It was hockey jersey giveaway night. And I was lucky to be one of the ones who got there early and got one. So
yeah, they look great. And I am an Orioles fan. We actually talk about both teams on this podcast. So I wanted Tim to call in, but we talked about how it was just going to be ending right as the show was starting. So it was going to be difficult. But I said if you get a video or anything, make sure you get it. In fact, Tim was sitting here on the couch next to me rooting the Capitals on last night. So it was our good luck charm. I did have to say I did switch outfits after I went to overtime, Gil, because I just felt like the juju was going south. And I put on my Wes Johnson Unleashed the Fury, TJ Oshie jersey, and I liked the outcome of that. So
it turned out to be a damn good choice.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking about putting on Ovechkin, but I was like, is that too on the nose, right? And so I think it's kind of funny that I didn't put on an Ovechkin, and he's got to be the game winner. And we'll break that down as well as so much other stuff tonight. It's a really exciting show. I'm actually watching 4 games simultaneously on my screen. So shout out to YouTube TV for letting you have a 4-way screen. It's like better than picture-in-picture because you can actually watch all of them at once. And so we're watching 2 NBA playoff games as well as 2 NHL playoff games. So I'll have updates throughout the night on all of that action as well. And we'll talk about a couple of the other series after we talk about the Caps. Exciting times. Gil, I liked your show this week. I learned a lot about Anna's staycation. It was a fun and interesting look into the last couple of weeks, last week for the Caps, and it was filmed. It was recorded before this big game that we will be talking about. But if you want to sort of take a look at the last bit, it was a great one. So Gil, let people know a little bit more about that episode, and then I will get started.
So, Anna the Mermaid comes back from spring break, her spring break staycation, as you said. So we go into that a little bit. Then we recap the final few games, sort of, which for the most part, weren't a treat to watch. And then we get into how they've been playing and why, and then something of a preview of this year's playoffs. And let's just say we both touched on a certain aspect of a lineup change that recently occurred that turned out to be, shall we say, insightful. Yeah, I think everybody knows what I'm talking about if you've been paying attention. So there's that to look forward to. But all in all, a nice quick episode because we go through things kind of quickly. Probably going to have much more detail next week as we get into games that really matter.
Yeah, it'll be. Have you decided if you're recording on Sunday or Saturday? I know the game is on Sunday.
We will be recording on Saturday, so we will be covering games 1, 2, and 3, which will have taken place by then, since the game is Sunday.
Right, exactly. Sounds good. And C4, how we'll get into it more in depth about you going, but generally, how are you feeling the day after going to that exciting win? And congratulations, yeah. Oh, I think you're muted for.
That better?
There we go. You're back.
Okay. Yeah, my mic was turned down. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
We got home close to 1 a.m.
No.
But part of that's because we stopped by the Irish Channel after to have a celebratory drink, and Marcus was they had the Avs game on, so we were watching that for a little while, but we were waiting for Metro to kind of dissipate the crowds a bit.
Smart.
So yeah. Oh man.
My move, by the way, for the Metro, for anybody who ever wants a good trick, is go up to the previous stop. Don't wait actually there. Walk, one stop, ahead. And,
you can either Metro Center or even Judiciary Square's walking distance.
Yeah, they both
either
are.
one of those. Yeah.
I would highly recommend. That's what I always do. Walk to there because you can get a seat, and then as you go back through, we're going back the other direction. But still, I'd rather, get a seat. So anyway.
So I was still pretty hopped up when we got home, so I didn't sleep too good last night. Of course, that may or may not have had anything to do with the energy drink and the M&Ms I ate on the way to the on the way to the Metro, then the beer and shot I had before the game, and that may or may not have anything to do with it.
Yeah. I'm happy. It all worked well. So you had the right concoction. So
I did.
So that's great. I do want to announce that Florida and Tampa Bay are now tied at 1 with 3:48 left in the first period. That's a close game. The Indiana is beating Milwaukee Bucks in basketball 108-95. We are at the second intermission, and Toronto is up 2-1 over the Senators, and OKC is up 93-79 over Memphis, trying to take a 2-0 lead in that series. So I just wanted to give a little reset to the live games going on right now. I'm so happy that you got to go. Gil, let's just quickly break down NC4. We can talk about this. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because no one really cares about the last couple of regular season games, but there was some Ovechkin goals. And so I feel like it's our duty to talk about history whenever it happens, and every time he scores, it's history. So we're going to go back real quickly and talk about the Islanders game. Dylan Strome was the man in this one. We got 3 goals. I have to say he did it for his dog, which is just the most heartwarming story. He messaged his wife and said, look, it's been 3 years to the day. I'm going to try to score a goal tonight for that pup. And he not only did 1, he got 3. I think that's such a magical moment when these hat tricks happen on these important moments for these players. Or we've heard this happen before, and what a good guy, and it's his first Capitals hat trick. It's his first one since he's had 2 previous. I believe both were with Chicago. Great goals there. Scored in the first, the second, and the third. almost had the natural hat trick, but they did get one goal in there.
Yeah.
But just so happy for him. And Charlie Lindgren was looking really good in that game as well. But Gil, what's your quick thoughts on that one?
It's a great game, easily the best of the final few games that they played. And it was just great to see them get back to their game. It was against an Islanders team that, yeah, it was out of it in a bit of disarray, but even so, yeah, they had to get this one, and this was probably the one they were going to get before heading into the playoffs.
Sorry. I have a couple people in chat. Sith says he's lurking, and Code Red says, "Ever hear from Titans of the Ring anymore?" I miss that guy, and I actually was thinking about contacting him to come on this show tonight, but I know that he's been really busy lately, and he's been like working on himself and doing a lot of really good things. So he is taking some time off streaming, but he is doing well. I did talk to him, and I know he is excited about the Caps. So it's Casey. They're talking about his Twitch profile. So Code Red is a friend from his channel that is coming and visiting us over here. So welcome on in. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know it's not my normal night, but I really appreciate everyone for tuning in across all the different platforms. C4, a little bit of a fight breaking out here in this battle for Florida. And C4, what were your thoughts on that Islanders game?
Well, like Gil said, that was the best of the last regular season games. They played mostly the full 60 minutes. Their numbers were good. And I'm happy that they won that game. It was a needed win to kind of get the momentum going. It got concerning to me that we dropped off so badly the next couple of games, but I'm glad we kind of got a little back from the Islanders from the pounding we got the day Obi broke the record. So that kind of made up for it some.
Yeah.
My cat's trying to climb over my screen. Over here.
Sorry, I was letting Casey know that we were talking about him. I felt that he'd appreciate that, and maybe he might make an appearance in Twitch chat, or maybe even come on the Zoom. Who knows? All things possible. There's an open invitation for all Caps fans to join tonight's big show as well. So feel free to message me on. Oh no, he's got the flu. He's barely awake right now.
Oh Lord.
Poor Casey.
Yeah. Anyway, well, that explains why he hasn't been around. So, anyway, hope that you feel better, Casey. Oh man, he's trying to figure out what his students are gonna have to do without him tomorrow. That's rough when you're a teacher and you have to like be planning for the next day when you're sick already. Ugh.
All right. Somebody
Yeah.
just scored.
Yep, Florida just scored on that one. It was a wrister. It was tipped. What a tip! And then up into the corner. There's nothing Vasilevsky can do about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, tip right out in front. Beautiful goal right there because it's intentionally going wide, and he tips it so that it goes from going wide and then up into the upper corner. There's no way you can like adjust that quick there. And it was just about 40 seconds left in the period too. Those we always talk about those like those McNugget goals. Always having a lot of can sway momentum for sure. So this is the first game for between those two, right, Gil? Is that right?
This is the last of the 8 series to start. Yes.
Yeah, that's wild that they had to wait that long. I thought we had to wait a long time. I was like, this is a whole 24 hours later. That's strange to me. Anyway, because they're really done on Thursday. Like, why? Anywho, I'm not the NHL schedule.
The NHL schedule makers are yeah, they're
they're
hard to understand.
They want to start some series later, so that way, if things don't go late, a lot of early 4 or 5 game series, you've got something on air at the tail end there. But
I guess that makes sense.
So anyway, let's quickly go over the last game, the Pittsburgh game. Don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about it. Connor McMichael started the scoring. Brian Rust tied it. Then he scored another one on the power play at the beginning of the second period to make it 2-1. Then our old friend Sidney Crosby strikes, and then Ovechkin says, "Anything you can do, I can do better," and he also strikes and gets that power play goal there. And that's about all the positive things that we need to talk about in that game. So
Pretty much.
yeah, so I'm happy we.
I don't even think I watched that whole game. I think I
I was
turned
just
off
happy
after
we
the
got out
second
of that
period.
game without too many injuries or issues, right?
And I think that was kind of they were just I think they were just playing to make sure they stayed healthy. I don't think
Yeah,
you know,
it was
the
pretty
games didn't
self-evident.
matter. We'd clinched the division. We clinched playoffs. We clinched the division by this time, and it just didn't really matter at that point anymore. So they were just playing to stay healthy.
And the Pens want to win, just to have some positive note going into the offseason, right? And I think the Caps kind of were like, we could fight hard, but then maybe they fight dirty, right? And it's just not worth, us, pushing too hard. And
Right.
classy act by Malkin and Crosby giving Ovechkin a watch. And I thought that was really
Rolex.
a Rolex. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
And welcome on Dad. And Dad, I see he's in chat as well now. So thank you everyone for tuning in. So he said, "Let's go Caps." So that's the end of the games that don't matter. I was happy. One unfortunate thing that happened in those final games that we really didn't know the full extent of until today, actually, is one of our better defensive players this whole entire season is now out for the playoffs, and I feel bad for Martin Ferrari. He's been playing incredible all season, arguably top 3 defender for us all season long, very physical. Right. And it didn't even look that bad, Gil. It looked like it just tweaked his knee just a little bit, but it's all it takes sometimes. And had surgery on it today and out for the rest of the playoffs. And I think that's a real big blow to our team. I like Alexiev, and I like what we have, and some of our other guys that we can bring up and also have on our team. But man, he brings something special, and I thought he was a big reason we played so well defensively this season. And it's just a big blow to our team for sure. Gil, what are some of your thoughts hearing that news?
Well, yeah, like you said, glass half empty. He's going to be missed. He's a defensive presence. Led the team in blocks. If you want to hear something numbers wise, so that part of the game will certainly be missed. I think the only thing that he wasn't providing was offense, and that will probably come, as he grows more into his role. But probably even better than Matt Roy, I would say, the number 1 defensive defenseman on that core all year. So it's not going to lie, that's a loss. Now, glass half full. We mentioned Alexiev, who is going to be most likely his replacement through however long the playoffs last for the Caps. Knock on wood. The problem with Alexiev was that, yes, he spent a lot of time as a healthy scratch. But as the announcing team mentioned, he got a lot of games in towards the end. So it was, in that way, it was nice that they had a lot of throwaway games where a McElrath and an Alexiev can, ramp up their minutes. I think one game he ended up getting like 20 plus minutes, almost 25 minutes, because they had to play 5D in that game. He logged a ton of time, and it helped him get back into shape and get back into a rhythm. And here's the thing with Alexiev. Right now, I don't think you can ask too much of him, but you don't have to ask too much of him. I think if he keeps his game simple, just keeps the puck in front of him, doesn't try to move the play on his own, doesn't try to do everything on his own, just, again, keep the play simple. Keep to your responsibility. Don't try to move heaven and earth all by yourself. Just stick with your responsibility and provide a solid 10 to 15 minutes every game. That's all he has to do.
Right. I think that what I really loved about what Carberry is doing is he moved the minutes around. He knew that you're not going to replace Martin with one guy, right? You just can't. But you can have Roy be the shutdown block guy. You can have Alexiev when you need more of a little bit of speed. You can sort of shift things around and where you're placing him. One might be in the penalty kill. One might be in a different situation, and so I really liked what he did with the minutes. And to speak to Alexiev not playing a lot this season means it's not a lot of wear and tear on his body. So, he's got a little bit more left in the tank possibly than some of the people that have gone through an 82 game grind, right? So, I think that's at least the hope on my part. And we'll see. And, Dylan McElrath could make an appearance, right? And, play that heavy game as well. And so, as we could bring other people up from Hershey as well. So I think, right? Or is there a limit on what happens there?
I'm pretty sure there's no limit to the call-ups once the postseason hits.
Yeah, but their postseason's coming up soon too.
That's the other thing.
They've won a lot of championships. If we have to pull a guy, I don't. I'm sorry, but you gotta if you gotta pull a guy, you gotta pull a guy, right? So hopefully not. So, but it's good that they have already clinched. They have a bye week, and our minor league team beneath them, the Stingrays have had their best season ever. So, it's nice to know that we've got additional players down the line if need be. So
one thing I really hope they don't do is try to bring Chesley up right now. He's not ready. He looks great in Hershey, and when we saw him a couple of weeks ago, you could see he was very aware of what was happening on the ice, but I'm not sure he's ready for you can't put him in playoff hockey. You just can't do it. He needs to stay in Hershey.
No, I agree.
Or at least for the rest of the season and at least most of next season.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have a cat trying to take over my space here. So if you see me.
I've got a pile of dogs behind the camera. You can't see. I guess I could shift it around. We're dog sitting. So we've got Siri, and then we've got a sleeping.
Oh. Cat. Ow! Now he's got my jersey.
All right. So let's switch gears. I'm gonna try to screen share here, and we've got a whole plan for the for my. Where is this? It's over here. We're gonna go there, and we're gonna go through the scoring first. Hold on.
Okay, so
pause it there. Hold on. Let me move some stuff around and switch to our hockey screen.
Go away, Sebastian.
I think that works. Awesome. So, Gil, why don't you take it away, whatever you want to say, and then let me know when to click the play button.
Okay, so this was the opening goal of the game. So go ahead and run it, Robbie.
All right.
Okay, so puck is loose. Carlson drops it off to Strome. Strome drops it off for Wilson. Great seam pass to Ovi. Catch and release. Oh, and it's in the goal. And it's the record breaker. It's the record breaker. We gotta stop the game. We gotta stop the game. Tell everybody about the record breaker. He broke the record. It's great. Wait a minute. Wait. Hold on. Oh my God. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. It looked like the record breaker. And wait, here's an explanation. It's Google Gemini. Oh, okay. It felt like a deja vu moment because it was from his spot, and it was the same. Okay, I get it now. All right, thank you, Gemini. I just want to say to you, I love what you did there, so thank you so much. And explain it, but that's okay. So stop being facetious now. Yes, it was almost a carbon copy of the record-breaking goal. Almost the exact same play was basically what I was explaining there, and on the power play, of course. And Uh, Montreal's penalty kill, I thought should have picked up on it, but somehow they didn't. But great shot by Ovi right past Montembeault on the stick side. Yeah, great way to start the game. Nice feeling out process.
That's definitely his weakness, I think, is the stick
Yeah.
side, right in that sort of spot over there. It's because he's really good at the butterfly. He can get down quickly. He can pick up the top corners pretty quick. He's got a fast glove, right? And we've already seen that. But it's hard for him to shift away using the blocker on the stick side, right? So
Right.
I think it looked like it glanced off the blocker possibly and in. It sort of like skirted him. I felt it sort of looked like it changed position a little bit. And so I think that they need to remember that because this guy we took a lot of shots on him. We really carried the play in the first period.
Yes.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah, we did.
And the fact that it was only 1-0, I thought I was getting Halak feelings again. And I was like, oh God. I was like, not again. It's the same team. He was making some crazy good saves, but he does have this weakness, and I hope that we can continue to exploit it. So it's just something to watch out. C4, you were at the game. After we go through all the goals, we'll show all the footage that you shot in the pictures. But what were your thoughts on this first goal right here?
It was gorgeous, and the place erupted. I mean, it was like it's like every time he scores, I mean, it erupted. Chance of OV, OV, OV. I mean, it was just gorgeous.
Yeah, it was. It's pretty amazing, and it's
Loud.
kind of crazy to think about the fact that he had been in a goal-scoring drought in the playoffs, right? Because that kind of was lost a little bit on the conversation the last couple of weeks. That I thought was no one talked about. He didn't score a single point last year in the playoffs.
No.
It's a big reason. He played so well in the regular season, but we had to struggle so hard to make it, if people remember. And I just don't feel like there was enough gas in the tank. And he also been hurt. Right, we talked about that. So
yeah, he did not. I was at Game 4 of the Rangers last year, and he just did not look like himself at all. He looked like he was just done.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's what was going through his head, but he just did not look like himself. I mean, he basically skated to the blue line, parked himself there, and waited for the puck. That's pretty much all he did that game. And last night he was all over the ice. So
yeah, no, it was
good to see.
It was a very different Ovechkin. I think that he
had 7 hits last night too.
Yes.
Yeah, and the 7 hits were all quick. He's in, he's out. He's not taking a lot of damage, right? I saw a video that showed all 7 hits. Actually, my dad
that one
in chat sent that to me. I love that, right? They were all hits where he had targeted momentum, but he wasn't receiving a lot of damage back, because there's times when you hit somebody and they could reverse hit you, right? And I know he's a big guy and he can handle his own, but damage over time adds up. And I felt like all 7 of these hits didn't do much damage to him, but it surely set a tone for the other side. So I thought that was really good. And I just Gil was talking about this before, and I wanted to point this out. Just the number of minutes, to hold him to 17 minutes in that game or under, impressive. And they've done it all season. And I think that's why you see a more energetic Ovi, and why he thought he was only going to be with the energy levels. He said he thought he'd maybe score 20 goals this season. That's what he thought, based on his own words in interviews, right? He did not expect to break the record this year. But they did a good job of conserving his energy, putting him in the right places, and reading the article that Gil put in the Power Play Point podcast group from Dylan Strome. Ovi said that they didn't talk about the record a lot in the thing. And I believe that they did not talk to him about it a lot because it's one of those things you don't want to spook the guy that's doing it. You don't say shut out to your goalie. You know what I mean? Like there's some things that you just don't talk about. But he did confirm that the guys all talked behind his back about it a lot.
Oh, I'm sure they did. I am absolutely 100% sure they did.
And no, he confirmed it, and he said that we wanted to get it for him. You know, like he's done so much for us. He's always the first to celebrate whenever we do anything. Whenever we score a goal, he's the first to high five us and congratulate us. Celebrates harder for us than he does for himself. We wanted it for him, right? And it's great because you hear him just constantly saying, if it wasn't for these players, I wouldn't do it. And that shows in my mind, right? Mm-hmm. Because they're setting him up. They're the ones who are pushing the narrative. He's not sitting there being like, I need the puck, guys. Why aren't you passing me the puck? He's not, LeBron Jamesing it. And it's a completely different situation, right, than anything I've ever seen in sports, to try to go for a record and really the selflessness of his teammates. Just really so happy for him, and just that conservation of energy is working out. My dad wanted me to pet Lily. That's why I was over here doing that. And Suri's over there. Suri blends in perfectly to this couch, which is pretty crazy. There is a brown dog there. But anyway, really want a quick scoring update. OKC 109, Memphis 92. They look like they're going to go up 2-0 in that one. Toronto is still up 2-1. We are now in the third period there. Just a couple minutes into that period, into the third. So let's get into the next one. Do you want me to pause it? Or?
Oh, yes, please.
All right, I'll pause it.
There's something that happens fairly quick in here. So I'm going to need you to keep the finger on the pause button, I'm going to do a locker. Hold it here when I need you to. So when I say that, make sure you stop it. There's a key. There's something key here that happens. I was kind of hoping would happen at some point. But okay, so here's Beauvillier's goal. Now it's going to start out. He's going to attack the puck and get a shot off here. So go ahead and roll it, Robbie. Mm-hmm. So he gets the shot off. Now he goes behind the corner with Hudson. Now he's going to hold it here. So he does. He throws a soft one. I don't know if you saw it, but he throws a soft one. And what do we call that? You can roll it again. We call it a pizza. So it was a pizza from Hudson that caused the turnover, that gave the puck to Strome. Mm-hmm. And we're going to pick up the rest of the play here. And it's going to go to Ovi. He's going to shoot it. And Beauvillier recovers the rebound and buries it. But thanks to that nice little delivery from Hudson.
Now that would be Cole Hudson's brother, right?
That it would. Lane Hudson.
Right.
Yeah.
They say Cole's better than Lane. That going after the rebound.
I want to read this because I feel like. Hold on.
Okay.
Because like my bow is better than your. Is it
better than your bow?
Better than your bow? Okay.
So his name is Montembeau. So
I see. The problem is it's getting cut off on my thing because I was not expecting wording to be at the top. But anyway, so that's why I was like, "What is this?" So there you go. All right. So sorry for people that are watching this on that screen. But anyway,
my bow is better than your bow.
Yeah, we can see it on ours. But anyway, I just wanted to, for people that couldn't see it, for there. But I love his addition to this line, and it's so funny because Ovechkin, in his press conference, talked about this goal. And he's so underplayed the whole entire night, which I think is hilarious. Like, he's like, the goal's a goal. Like, why are we making a big deal about this? So I was like, yes, a goal is a goal, Ovi. But, and he was underplaying he likes this guy. They call him Bovey, right? Which is kind of funny, Bovey. So he was like, "Oh, Bobby's great," and because they were like, "Talk more about that." Oh, he's good. It was like not giving them anything. I think he just didn't even really want to be there. I don't know. I think he's maybe tired. It was just so funny because Obi's usually a man of more words than that, but he I think of Bovey as kind of the Swiss Army blade guy. He's the guy that he's
Hmm.
going to fill different roles for us throughout these playoffs as we need them. Because I still think when Protas comes back, he deserves a spot up here. And then the question is, where do we put Bovey? On which line do we mess up the potential chemistry of? Uh,
Hmm.
and so there's debate about that, whether you put Bovey on the fourth line, but those three have played so well together all season. There's a question on whether or not Bovey gets a spot over our rookie, which might actually make some sense because I mean I love the rookie and I love them getting time, but it's hard for me to believe that he could produce more than Bovey would be able to. He hasn't. He's played well. I think he's played some really great minutes.
Well, I mean, he was another one that was kind of thrown out of the frying pan into the fire. So
Oh,
you can only expect so much. But he was all over the ice last night. He was making hits. He was taking hits.
no, he's
And
playing
as
great. I just
Gil
who
said
who do you
not
take
long
out?
ago, he went, what is it? He went to art school because he was drawing so many darn penalties. It was fantastic. So yeah, no, I love the way he's playing again. But yeah, you're right. He's still, he's only played what, nine games? 10 games.
Yeah,
I'm the expert in the other room.
right. I looked it up. He only had 3 goals for us in the regular season, and that was. But it's
But
wild
that
that
was in how many games?
yeah, it was 13, I think. So
Yeah.
it wasn't a huge sample size. Had a couple assists as well, but just had a couple early on and then one more recently. But just I was, and
But
this
he
guy is
does,
a playoff money guy. My dad always talks
yeah,
about money players and
yeah.
how
He
like
does what needs to be done when he in the
yeah,
playoff. I mean, whether
And
it's scoring or
that's why
protecting
that's
or
why I thought he was the perfect addition. Okay, I can't take all the credit. Spoiler alert: Anna mentioned it too
yeah,
during our recent episode. So we thought it was a great idea to have him on that top line for that
Mhm.
reason.
yeah.
I love him on the top line. I think he's done a fantastic job with those guys.
Yeah, I agree, and he
I
has the playoff history, right? I mean, I love
yeah.
Protas, but he does not have. I mean, he there was a season he scored, was it 9 goals in one of the playoff seasons for the Islanders? So
Yep.
like, that's a
Oh,
lot
that
of
that
playoff
that
goals.
last series, the one in the bubble, when we
Yeah,
last played them, oh, he hurt them, hurt the Caps really badly. My
Yeah.
worst memories of that series was him just running up and down the offensive zone, running around the goal, untouched. He was so fast
Mhm.
they couldn't get to him, and he always had the puck, and he was always doing things. Him and Matt Barzal
Oh
were
yeah.
getting away with murder that series because they were just so fast and they had no answer for them. And that's my memory of him. And I thought if he can bring back something of that game back, even though it's years and years later and it looks like he's lost his touch, I don't think he's lost his touch.
nope. So and Obi's just like, keep on getting me the puck.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And then I will return the favor to you, right? So
Well, spoiler alert, he did.
yeah, so and but I love Ovi was really responsible for all 3 goals because his shot here that then Bavalia gets the rebound and puts it past him, but without that shot by Ovi, that heavy shot,
Yeah.
this goal
Right.
doesn't happen. So
Yeah.
uh,
I think
Joe
one of
Strom
my
too.
biggest complaints though about the game last night, other than the last 10 minutes of the third period, was there were lots of rebounds that we should have gone after that we didn't.
Yeah.
Fortunately, for the most part, they didn't lead to odd man rushes or things like that. But we need to that's something that definitely we need to focus on is getting those rebounds because they were nice, juicy rebounds, and we could easily, well, maybe not easily, but we would have at least gotten another shot on goal from them.
Would have made life a
Else.
bit easier. Yeah.
Easier for us, tougher on Montebo or whatever his
Yeah.
name is.
Dylan Strom is having a hell of a week, though. I really encourage everyone to read that article that Gil posted in the Power Play Point podcast group, and if I remember, I'll try to share it on our Sports on the Hill podcast page as well. But really great article that he wrote. He was the maestro again. Reminds me a lot of Nick Backstrom and what he did, for us in important playoff runs in the past. But Dylan Strome set this up so nicely. Secondary assist here, secondary assist on all three goals, right? And so, that is key. I know people like, oh, secondary assist, kind of a dumb stat, but like, it's not. It really, hockey's so fast. The guy who touched the puck second,
Right.
before the goal is often very responsible for, what
Yeah.
happens there. So, and sometimes not, but Florida just scored again. Up 3-1 now. Toronto's still up 2-1, and OKC won their game, and the Pacers defeat the Bucks. Just to give you a quick little update on all of that. But really great stuff here. Let's move on to the next goal. And we'll talk about well, first of all, Collapse as C4 was talking about. I really felt like our goaltending, we haven't really talked about him very much, but Logan was phenomenal, especially for a
Yeah.
player that had not played since early April. And I really feel for him that they tied this game because I really don't blame him for like either of these goals. Just some, unlucky bounces, tripping up our own goalie. Just, crazy, crazy stuff happening here to tie it 2-2. Gil, do you want to speak to anything of that before we talk about overtime?
Yeah, I just totally agree. I mean, that the second goal was the worst. At first I thought, okay, why am I seeing Logan's new pads 10 feet to the right of the crease? And then I saw
Yeah.
the replay, and McMichael actually pushed him aside accidentally by trying to kick the puck out himself when the shot came, and that he didn't see his own goalie was right next to him, and that there was just all kinds of chaos that led to that. Which,
Yeah, that was just a bad.
if I'm remembering right, was the power play goal they got, or was that the first goal? I can't remember.
No, the first one was the power play
That's
goal.
right. That's right. And
That was the
Suzuki.
one where, if I remember, that's the one
I think
where
that was the one where they had that scramble in
Dubois
front.
got called for a penalty, but he was the one that was tripped.
Yeah, that one. But the second one was what all the chaos in front of the net were
Who was tripped? Oh, Dubois. Sorry, Dubois.
Three guys were in front of the net. McMichael ended up, in front of the goal, and it was
Cole
just a mess.
Caulfield scored the power play one, which was the first one, right?
Yeah, and Suzuki got the one that tied it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's the one where Logan.
Suzuki was all over the place all night.
Yeah.
I thought he could have had 2 or 3 goals if it wasn't for Logan playing, so great.
Suzuki was a Honda Turbo that night. Terrible.
Yeah. And Lane Hudson assisted on both of those goals as secondary assists, starting those plays as well. And it was just a 5-minute dud fest, right? And just Tim and I couldn't believe what we were watching. And then it was like, we've exercised these demons before. We don't have to deal with these old Capitals demons. And then immediately they were presented right in front of us all over again. And I'm like,
I'll tell you what, though, there were times I thought the fans were going to storm the ice and hang the refs. It was oof.
Well, I want to make a point here. I don't know. It was Montreal, taking back the game. But they would not have gotten to that point had not the Caps let them in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, I don't disagree with you at all. But I'm just saying there was just some things that the refs didn't call.
Yeah, no, and Carberry said something about that. There was kind of a woe is me attitude, in between, that they had to quell because of the bad call.
There was a meme somebody, one of our other friends, Jared, posted. I think it was, I'm not sure if it was on the Off the Chains page or one of our other chat groups that we're all in, or Marcus and he and I are all in. It was a picture, it was from a Montreal fan site, and it was showing Alex was actually good paying off the refs or something.
Yeah, Montreal thinks that we were like, I was like, at what point do you think that we were? I can't see that. I understand that I'm a homer, but like I can't see. There was so many more calls that weren't called on them. The swallowing of the whistles in the third definitely helped them more than it helped us by a long shot. And They're just
that first one never should have happened at all.
right. Well, and then I hate that rule about the follow through. So you're telling me if you can make it look like you're trying to hit a puck, you can hit somebody in the face? Like, I don't know about
And
that.
see, I only thought that applied to shots, not playing the puck in general. So apparently that's an expansion of the rule I wasn't aware of.
That is
No,
an
me
extension of the
neither.
rule that was this year, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
so,
apparently the Caps ice crew found his teeth on the ice after the game last night.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah.
That was the face I made. I was looking for that meme I was telling you about, and then Mike Livingston apparently shared it from somebody else. And I was just that's why I was like,
that's an unwanted trip to the dentist.
Right.
Yeah, but apparently he's in for tomorrow, so.
Oh, he wouldn't. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way he'd miss.
Florida just scored again to make it 4-1.
Florida's walking all over the Lightning tonight.
Yeah.
They have no answer.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this goal. So, I mean, Ovi's never had an overtime game-winning goal in the playoffs. It was a lot talked about it. There's been 45 overtimes he's played in, Gil. That's just wild to me.
I never realized it. I always thought when he would get one, it would be the very last overtime game he would ever play, and it would be the cup winner. I figured that would be the one, but you know what? This will do.
Right.
I'll take it. I will take it.
Maybe the monkey's off his back. Maybe he'll score every overtime now. So
there we go.
Maybe that'll be his new thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting there. I've got like, I've got all the, my lucky, and just.
Right. Well, I like that we took it to them that
whatever happens, let it be quick.
Yeah, that they got angry that they got them back into it.
Said.
And
yeah, right.
But they got angry that they let them back into the game. And
they did. They came out angry. They came out pissed.
There was like zero puck possession for Montreal in those 3 minutes that was overtime. I was very impressed that I think the Caps had 5 chances to Montreal's maybe 1. In opportunities, not even like shots on goal.
They had zero shots
0.
on
we
goal.
had 2.
Yeah, we had 2 shots on goal. I'm just saying we had the puck 5 different times.
Oh yeah.
Different, zone cycles in a 2.5 minute period, which is good. That's what you want. That's what they should have done at the end of the third. And that was, unfortunate that we got there. It's an interesting debate whether, some people are trying to be like, Montreal should be happy that they know that they could compete with the Capitals. And then there's the other argument is like, that's a game that you had to win. If they really wanted to win the series, they kind of needed that one. And it'll be interesting to see, how game 2 goes. But they definitely let one slip through their fingers. It's pretty funny watching Subban's reaction. I don't know if you saw that one.
I saw
that. He was like, no, this was our chance. And I feel like a lot of Montreal people probably are feeling that way for sure. Let's get into the goal.
Go ahead and roll it. So kind of a squibbed face-off, no clear winner, but Strome manages to get it over to Beauvillier. He takes a shot, it bounces off the side of the net, and then somehow he gets it, and Ovi is wide open. It doesn't look like it here, but he is wide open in front of the crease so a little more forward. So Beauvillier's got it there. So the two defenders are looking at Beauvillier. They have no idea who's behind them and who's 2 feet in front of the goal.
Yep.
Yeah, that's wild to me that why one of the defenders doesn't just take Ovechkin. I don't care who's going to that side, whether the puck's on that side, whatever. Someone has to be just shadowing him. That is a misplay.
Well, Lane Hudson was the closest to him, and he was about a step and a half behind. He realized it too late. Yeah. So say what you want about his defense. He was actually the one that tried. So I don't give a crap what the NHL says. It was too beautiful not to show the video. So here's what actually happened.
Yeah.
Right there.
It's so crazy that.
So,
I'll play it again. but just out of midair, boom. The eye-hand coordination. It's funny because that goal is kind of thought of as the Sidney Crosby goal. Remember, like you would, was it the
But Ovi can't score from in front of the net.
right.
The hell he can't.
Right. That's crazy though, the eye-hand coordination. And then I love there was a couple of stats. Let me see if I can pull them up here. Ovechkin is now tied Sidney Crosby and is now just one behind Brooks Orpik in career playoff overtime goals, which I think is a great stat because it proves how hard it is. Because everyone's like, how could he have never gotten one? Well, a lot of great players have never gotten one. This stat, Gordie Howe, Mario Lemieux, and Mark Messier never had an overtime goal in the NHL in the playoffs. So, yes, it sucks it took them 45 games, but I'm happy we're here now, just an incredible way to start the playoffs. So, I like this. We take a 1-0 lead there, and just some really amazing stuff. We have Game 2 coming up on Wednesday. It's a 7 o'clock game. It stays on Monumental Sports. Then Friday, also at 7. That one will be in Montreal. And then Sunday at 6:30, which is an interesting time. All the games are on Monumental. And then Wednesday, if there's a Game 5, is to be determined. So we will resume our regularly scheduled hockey talk next week and talk about games 2, 3, and 4. And at least, Gil, we can't be eliminated no matter what next week. So
that's right.
Yeah, I will take that. We will be still in the hunt. Hopefully. Maybe in the second round next week. So that's the goal. So we'll see how it goes. Montreal still has a lot of fight left in them. This is definitely not over by any means necessary. But
this is gonna go. I say at least 5, probably 6.
Yeah. All right, let's quickly go through some of the different pictures we got here. So this is pre-game with the warm-ups that C4 is taking. And then this one.
Thank goodness. That was outside. We were on our way back to the Irish Channel. The van was just parked there on the side. I thought it was pretty cool.
That is really cool. And then
little scrum down there at the back.
Yeah, I'm sorry if these are not in order.
Oh yeah, we were on TV. So we were outside waiting, and they were coming by with the camera. And what you see is I have my brace.
What is in your mouth?
It's not in my mouth. I've had my hand like this, and I have my brace on. So I'm doing this, but you can't tell because I have my brace on, and it kind of blends into the.
Okay, I was trying to figure that out.
I don't have it on right now because I don't have to wear it at home. But
it does look like it's in your mouth though.
It does look like it's in my mouth. But yeah, so I'm I'm doing like this.
Oh, I sort of see that.
Yeah. Okay.
But I've got, like I said, I have that brace on, and I had my sleeve pulled up, so it's kind of, and that's Marcus's hand is the other hand that you see back there. I think that's Marcus's hand. Look at my hand. I don't know.
It's like an optical illusion. The more you look at this picture,
it is. The picture is just weird, but it was just so funny because
sorry.
But you know what?
It was the best I could do. Spoiler alert: that's my TV, my living room, where I took the picture.
So what happened was we were in line and they were taking footage of us all, and then Grant, our Scottish friend, texted me and said, "Hey, I just saw you on TV." I was like, "What?" "Oh yeah, we were waiting in line, blah blah blah." And then I guess I texted Gil to ask if he saw it. And I guess
I didn't at first.
So he didn't.
But you went back.
So yeah,
I had to. Yeah. Thank you for Verizon for having the back button.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, because unfortunately Grant was streaming, so he couldn't. I think that was intermission after one of the intermissions or something, or during an intermission.
I hear some.
It's too bad you guys can't hear how loud it was.
Oh yeah, I can turn it up.
Here we go. This is as they were coming out. That was Marcus barking. He was barking. So this is the starting lineup.
There you go.
It was so loud.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm just gonna show a couple more here.
Tonight's third stars, Montreal Tonight's second star from your Washington Capitals.
What an incredible performance by him. Just, really remarkable to come in. It's so strange not to have rink rust, Gil. I just, I can't say enough about him. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
I'll wait to see how loud it gets.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm holding it here.
Before they even announced it, the entire arena. So he goes over and gives it his kids, sets his kids over there.
That's amazing. Wow, this place is. I love all the new graphics and the visuals and stuff like that.
Yeah. It was bumping. It was loud.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I'm gonna stop the screen share and switch screens over here to the main. We are gonna switch into our wrestling coverage, Gil, but we will definitely have you back on next Monday. Hopefully, we'll have a couple more wins to break down. But this has been super fun. I'm happy. I'm conflicted because I will say this now. Even though maybe I shouldn't, our record when we're leading a series at the beginning of the series is not nearly as good as when we come from behind. That's why I was telling Tim, I was like, maybe it'll be good if we go down 0-1 because we do better in those series. So I hope that we buck that trend and we can dominate from beginning to end of a series. That would be a nice change of pace.
That would be nice.
Yeah, so we'll see if that happens. But Gil, I love breaking this down with you as always, and I look forward to next week. And you'll be on Saturday. You'll be recording with the Mermaid, I assume.
Yes, we are recording Saturday sometime. I'm not sure yet. Open door policies. We always have. Anybody who wants to be on, talk the series with us. Please, we want to hear from you. We want to have the discussion with you. So if you got something to say about it, please come on with us. You're welcome to talk it with us. So yeah, it's Saturday sometime. Message myself or Anna if you let us know if you want to be on with us, and we'll get you on.
Yeah, that's awesome. I hope that you guys have a great show. I'll have to see what I'm doing on Saturday. What time did you say you were thinking about recording?
Probably either late evening, sometime either immediately before or after dinner time.
Mm-hmm. I'll see if the kids are.
If I figure out an exact time, I'll post it. But if there's somebody who says a better time works, we'll work with that. So we're flexible.
Sounds good. Well, Gil, I appreciate it as always, and I look forward to continuing to break down the playoffs next week. I'm sorry we didn't get time to break down the other series, but I kind of knew that this could happen, so it is what it is. We'll break down the other series next week.
Definitely.
So awesome. Well, it's good talking to you, and we'll talk to you next week.
Pleasure as always. Good night, guys.
Good night.
All right. With that, C4, we're going to bring in a whole new crew, and you get to join our wrestling coverage because I know that you're a big wrestling fan as well. We got Champ in the house and Dan the Sith Lord himself. So welcome on in, gentlemen. I'll start off with you, Champ. How are you doing tonight?
Robbie, you are forever the pessimist. You had to bring up the whole, the Caps record's not good when they lead in the series. So what? They're leading a series.
Exactly. So
things can change. You ain't have to bring that up. Forever the pessimist is Robbie G. That's gonna be Robbie's new name from now. It's not gonna be Robbie G. It's gonna be Robbie Pessimist.
Robbie Pessimist. I
know someone who's worse than that.
Yeah.
God.
It's important to have a fair and balance and explain the entire scenario so that way if things happen next week.
Fair and balanced.
Let us not be biased.
Fuck fair and balanced. I'm all about being biased. Caps are going to do
Yes.
great. They're going to win this series. They're going to go on to the next round.
All right, I love
Next.
it. There you go. I love it, champ. I love it. Sith, how are you doing tonight?
The Caps are gonna put Montreal in their place and call it a night. I'll take the Caps in 5 or 6.
Yeah, I think that they can too.
Yeah.
I do think the Caps are the better team, but we all know fluky bounces, goalies. It's a weird sport. Like, it's you can't count anybody out, and especially couldn't even count them out in a 2-goal lead in a game that they should have, easily won. So, I'm sure C4 is happy that it ended the way it did because it could have very easily not. So,
That's true.
yeah, so anyway, we'll move on to WrestleMania. It was an incredible 2-night event, and then also Raw, I thought was super interesting last night. I ended up watching that as well. I want to give Champ, you guys do such a great job with your watch alongs. I have to say, I don't even have Peacock. I don't even get to watch it live, but I just listen to you guys and watch the updates on their social channels while I was watching NHL playoffs and NBA playoffs. But you guys do such a great job that I feel like I'm watching it live with you all. So I really appreciate it. And, I loved being in the room for both nights, and just love your guys' coverage. I'm going to fill my water up, but I want you guys to talk a little bit in general terms about how the streams went and talk about your overall thoughts on watching it, the three of you guys together, and I'll be right back.
Well, so first,
I just want to say I was down in Virginia, so I missed night 1, and I watched about half of night 2 on my phone, but I've read highlights and stuff on the thing. So I'm gonna let you guys kind of take the lead on it, and I'll fill in as I
no problem.
catch up.
Problem. So the first thing about what Robbie was mentioning about our watch alongs, that's the basics and the basic idea of our live stream reactions is it's basically like a virtual watch party. Like everybody that comes into Twitch or to Facebook, they're basically watching along with us. It's almost like, so back in the day before this bar closed, C4, you live in the area. I don't know if you remember Bailey's Bar
I've heard
Grill
of it.
in Arlington.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So they used to show WWE pay-per-views as well as UFC pay-per-views there, and you would have like a big group in there to watch it, and it was like a big thing. So that's basically the idea of the watch alongs, is to basically reenact that sort of thing where you're basically just watching it with your friends. That's all you're doing. And so that's the long and short of the watch alongs. Now, WrestleMania weekend was highly anticipated because you had 3 really good events. You had Stand and Deliver from NXT that started the weekend. Well, you had the Hall of Fame that started the weekend, and then you had Stand and Deliver, which had a midday event for NXT, which was really good. Then you had both nights of WrestleMania. Now, Stand and Deliver really delivered, pun intended, on the start to the weekend with some great action. You only had one title change. The other championship that was there was vacant and was won in a ladder match by Sol Ruka, who literally a couple days earlier, which was already taped, had won the Speed Championship. So now she is a double champion in WWE, being the NXT Women's North American Champion and now the WWE Women's Speed Champion. And so you had that, and then the tag titles changed hands, which I did not think was going to happen, but it ended up happening with Hank and Tank becoming the new tag champions. But Obafemi and Stephanie Vaquer were able to retain their championships in multi-person matchups and whatnot. So that landscape didn't change much. But what really changed was at WrestleMania. You had a new world heavyweight champion in Jey Uso, which was an amazing opening matchup, and just a great way to set the tone for WrestleMania. Then you had the U.S. title change hands, in what was a fantastic match. You had Jade Cargill with her coming out moment as a professional wrestler, having a phenomenal contest with Naomi with no championship on the line. The only match that was a dud on the weekend on accident, And I say that because there was another match that was a dud on purpose, and I'll say that in a minute. But on accident was Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair. That whole build was just not very good. And it was reports that said that Charlotte trying to make the young girl look bad and ended up making herself look bad, and then she turns around and goes into a wrestling match, sandbags her, stiffs her, all kind of crap, to the point that it just made the match not look very good. However, most of the internet are praising this matchup, which I don't understand. I'm like, what match were you watching? Because the match I was watching was not good. But neither here nor there. They closed out night one with a phenomenal, and I mean a phenomenal ending with Paul Heyman, who many people predicted he was going to turn on somebody. It was almost telegraphed he was going to turn on somebody. But the swerve was he not only turned on CM Punk, he then turned on Roman Reigns and he joined Seth Rollins. That was an incredible way to close out night one. Then night two happens, and you had some really great action. You even had the TNA World Champion, who everybody knows who he is. If you're even a slightly casual wrestling fan, you know who Joe Hendry is. Okay. Robbie may not know because he only watches WWE, so I get that. But anybody who's a casual wrestling fan knows who Joe Hendry is, and Hendry getting that big pop. Dom Mysterio becoming Intercontinental Champion, pinning his own guy in the Judgment Day to become champion. New women's tag champions, though, that went out the window the very next night. And then a new undisputed WWE champion in a match that was purposefully trash. Okay. Yeah. Everybody's trashing this matchup, saying, oh, this was the worst match ever, blah, 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 blah. Guess what? It was done on purpose because John Cena said, and I said this on Dujanay's podcast, the Not Bland Show. That episode's out right now on YouTube. I said this because Dujanay went on a whole rant about how bad that match was, and then I had to correct him and smarten him up and say, John Cena said it for weeks while they were in Europe that he was going to ruin wrestling and he was giving the fans nothing. Mm-hmm. What do you think happened in that main event? He ruined wrestling and he gave us nothing.
Nothing.
He said he was going to do it, and he did it.
That's exactly what he said he was going to do.
I know.
And I was like, color me shocked.
It was interesting to hear, him and Raw and how the fan base was so torn on how to approach him. And he's like, I don't want your praise now. I don't want you to be on my side now. And, continuing the heel action. And it was also interesting watching his press conference and him talking about Dominic Mysterio and how much John Cena really appreciates what Mysterio is doing, and he thinks he's going to be a star for years to come. And you could kind of see that, how excited everybody was when Dom was able to pull off that victory, and how he kind of pulled the crowd with him. And it was also just the next night with him versus Penta, how he was trying to convince his cohorts to continue to help him, and the rift that's brewing within that faction. And so it'll be interesting to see, where
he annoys me less than he used to.
Yeah, I would. He's definitely
not as far as I'm willing to go with Miss Dominic right now.
Well, but that's the point, though. That's the point. We're all supposed to hate him, right? He's supposed to say, "I'm the best Mysterio ever," even though his dad is a Hall of Famer. He's supposed to say, "I'm the most dominant Intercontinental Champion." 15 minutes after doing it, but yeah. Sith, what are some of your thoughts?
Okay, I totally agree with Cenk that. If you look at the main event from night two, Cena, Cody, and you're reacting the way Dave LaGreca did on Busted Open Radio, you need to calm down. This was going to happen, okay? A heel is supposed to be the villain. What is the heel supposed to give you? Nothing.
Nothing.
Wow. Okay? It's like that line from Willy Wonka. It's all there, black and white. Clear as crystal. You get nothing, you lose. Good day, sir. Well, in this case, he kept his word. He said he was going to ruin wrestling. He was going to destroy. He's going to retire as champion. He's still saying that even after last night eating an RKO. But he did what he was set out to do. And even today, people are complaining to me saying the match wasn't good. I said
It wasn't supposed to
intentionally.
be.
I said go back and rewatch the build from the heel turn through Mania. If you watch the build, John kept his promise. You have the right to be upset, but if you know the aesthetic of professional wrestling and what a heel is supposed to do, this is what a heel is supposed to do at the end of the day.
And I think a lot of people were expecting The Rock to come in and do something. And when he didn't, they got disappointed in that. But I mean, there was never any true indication that he was going to be there either.
No.
So
I mean, it's weird though. Why not though? The Rock's
why not? Why not? Why not? Because you get nothing. You want The Rock, you don't get The Rock.
Exactly.
I hate that.
That makes sense. It makes sense to me now. I mean,
The Rock is making weird business decisions though lately, champ. He was on TV talking about a whole bunch of stuff. Didn't even mention the UFL once. Like it's weird to me. Like he's got such opportunities, and I just think he's making weird choices. Because he shows up for 5 minutes. I hate that whole storyline. But the musician doesn't need to be there. Like Travis Scott, the whole thing is stupid to me. It's like, and maybe that's by design as you're talking about, but like, literally all he had to do is show up for 5 minutes, interfere, The Rock that is, get a huge pop off and disappear, and we couldn't even get that.
But like Chip said,
the gag though. That's the gag. He wants you to expect The Rock. He pulls the rug out. He did Travis Scott instead, who actually did a good job in selling the Crossroads. By the way, I got to give him credit for that. Here's a guy who's taken, a few bumps trying to practice and, on things and whatnot. And he took the Crossroads effectively and sold it really well. But The Rock didn't show up because everyone knew, it's Mania. Rock's got to be there. No, he doesn't. Because Cena said, I'm going to ruin it for you. And when he said that, that should have been a beeline, along with reports from Sean Ross Sapp and others that said there are no plans for The Rock at Mania. In fact, he was in Hawaii, chilling like a villain, having fun with his family, probably, and watching the PLE. Now, cool thing is that you had two triple threat matches, one that closed out night one that opened up night two, that were absolute bangers. Okay. Paul Heyman has always turned on everyone that he's been aligned with. He turned on people in the Dangerous Alliance back in the early 90s. He turned on Brock Lesnar. He turned on Punk. Hell, he turned on them multiple times. So, in a way, I'm not angry at all of what happened. It was a question of, was it going to be Roman, Punk, or both? Turned out to be both, with that furious low blow. Saying, hey, no, I'm giving you the chair. Oh, bitch. Then, I'm handing you the chair. Guess what? One here. Then he handed to Seth, and Seth's like, oh, yeah, it's a lot. I just punted, Punk's head in. Now I'm going to use the steel chair and batter Roman again and be like, I told you to do. And then when you get to the women's triple threat, where Io took on Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley, hands down, definitely in the running for the best women's match in WrestleMania history.
I think the women outworked the men across the board in this. I thought that they put together such great things. I also loved on Raw right afterwards, Braun Breaker joining the faction. I think that is a great. I really want to see them wrestle together. I think that would be a fun thing, and I think that they're setting up for, is it Backlash, that there's going to be a rematch. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know if Punk would ever join, the original, but it would be an interesting thing for them, to have the people who have been betrayed and the new alliance, right? It
And
could
I've got
happen.
something for y'all.
Yeah.
I wish
Becky's
I had
heel
seen
turn
that
last
women's
night,
match.
and they've been teasing Austin Theory for God knows how long to turn on his tag team partner, Grayson Waller. I have said that Austin has never fully recovered from what happened with Vince McMahon. You know, A-Town Down Under's has just been a cheesy tag team that's had some good moments, mainly promo segments and decent matches, but they never got out. And Austin Theory got, again, it just didn't work. He needs to be in this stable and get away from Grayson Waller, be in this stable with Heyman. And if you can elevate Braun Breaker up to the world title, put Austin Theory up for, say, the US title or the Intercontinental title, and they're working with Heyman, it shows that you're elevating the talent of what's there at some point. Because one thing I've noticed is Io winning beat a tenured vet in Bianca Belair and a really good vet in Rhea Ripley. Io shine. Jade Cargill, Champ will probably agree with me on this, looked the best. This was the best presentation of Jade Cargill right here.
I want to hear what C4 was trying to say before Sip blowed it all over. I
Oh,
want to hear what
that's
you had to
okay.
say.
That's right. I wish I had seen that match between Io, Bianca, and Rhea. I absolutely adore Rhea Ripley. I think she plays her role well. She does what she's supposed to do. She does it well, and she sells it. And I also really like Io Sky, so I'm not mad that she won the title. But yeah, from all accounts that I've read and the little bits and pieces I've seen, and then apparently she also made an appearance on Raw last night, Rhea did, which I also missed, but I heard that was also quite the...
What happened with that, C4, was Io came out to celebrate her retaining the championship.
Right.
And she got interrupted by the NXT Women's Champion, Stephanie Vaquer.
Right.
And they decided out of mutual respect they was going to have a match. And by the way, they put on a banger of a match, by the way.
That's what I heard, yeah.
That match was amazing. It was amazing. But it got ruined by Roxanne Perez and Julia. They came in and ruined the match, caused a no contest. And as they were beating up on Stephanie and on Io, Rhea came out and chased their asses away.
Yeah.
And then she let Io know, you have what I want. You have what I want. And that was it. I'm coming
for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But no, that was a great moment right there. Was that matchup, and then afterwards what happened. So that was Raw after Mania tends to be where after the reset of WrestleMania, that's when stuff starts to really get into motion and whatnot.
Yeah.
Hell, Rusev finally returned.
Yep, that was a cool moment. I really love what the women's division is doing, though. It'll be interesting to see where they go. But I love that they did a no contest, so that way it didn't hurt the rise of both of those stars. I think that was a smart decision, and it sort of gets everybody into play, right? It's a good match. You see a little bit more NXT talent up there, and then you see Rhea Ripley assert her dominance once again, saying, "Hey, this isn't over yet," sort of situation. So it's some good. I love the storylines that are brewing here. I think they did a good job with the reset this year and trying to set up for the future. Because Triple H said that he's like, I can't expend everything at WrestleMania because then there's nothing for the next night at Raw, right? And so you got to start the next season's storylines, right? So I think that they did a good job with doing that, and so it's definitely been really fun to watch that and to see the excitement around WrestleMania, and I think that they did a good job. It's tough to have that energy continue for 2 nights, and Triple H talked about that in the press conference. So I thought that was kind of interesting about pacing and when you have certain people, in certain matches, and you're going to have lulls at some point. It's not going to be 5-star matches all the way through, right? And then, and where you put your superstars in there. Like, I love the fact that there wasn't a title on the line for the final match of the first night, but yet it was still the best match of that night, right? So it shows that storylines can be told without titles having to change hands, and I thought that was a really a cool thing for them, and I feel bad for Cody Rhodes just to kind of be the butt of the joke. I feel like I don't know what people will think of his championship reign of a year at this point, right? Like it had some moments positive, but it feels like it's so overshadowed now. With this, I feel like it's going to be so quickly forgotten. So I'm just curious what happens next with him and how they build up his star power again.
378 days he was champion.
Yeah.
Before he lost it to Cena.
Yeah.
Unbelievable to think about that.
Yeah. It was interesting, for sure. And I kind of thought that this might happen, but I went back and forth on it. I mean, it makes sense to have him go out on top in some ways, and it also brings back in, and I was mentioning this on Dujanay's show with you guys last night, that it's just so interesting that how the Viper has I feel like people are more excited about him right now than they are about Cena in a lot of ways. And so it's going to be interesting to see that matchup where it's going to be so weird to have the Viper potentially be the face and Cena's the heel, where for all these years that rivalry was the exact opposite, right?
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up. Orton was one of Cena's greatest rivals, but for a lot of their rivalry, the roles have always been Cena's have the crowd behind him, and Orton's always had the crowd against him. But for the first time in this rivalry, the roles are going to be reversed. And but the crazy part is that the roles might not even be reversed. The crowd might still cheer for Cena, even though Cena is telling them don't. So it's a very unique dynamic.
Yeah. And that match at Backlash is being held in St. Louis. Randy Orton's going to be home.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about this story that some people don't know, they were in developmental together. And what I call the best class ever to come out of the WWE developmental territory. They had Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Randy Orton, Dave Batista, and Shelton Benjamin. They all came out of AEW around the same time. Now, mind you, Shelton Benjamin wasn't a world champion, but the guy was a workhorse. The guy was one of those guys that wouldn't be exhausted or blow up in 5 minutes. He could carry people into like a 10, 15, 20-minute match, and it would be absolutely awesome. Aww.
Sorry. She's snoring away, but I just had to show her. Anyway.
Yeah. But the cool thing is that these two have had a story that goes back from developmental and crosses over. And I agree with Champ. They're going to have people on this hill run for Cena. They're going to cheer for him no matter what. Because some people are going to see Cena as a cool heel, And when it comes to your cool heels, they get cheered. At some point during Roman's lengthy title reign as tribal chief, the crowd started cheering him again. They started to rally to his side a little bit. They were like, this guy's actually pretty cool. It's no longer the big dog, it's the tribal chief. And although I was upset Sunday night with how it ended, I got up this morning after doing Dujanay's show, and I was laughing because I resaw the video of Dave LaGreca on Busted Open, literally losing his mind. And I'm just like, yeah, okay. He did what needed to be done. Okay.
I want to do a quick little reset. So Ottawa did end up tying with about 5 minutes left in this game, and now it's in overtime. So just a couple minutes into overtime now, so it's 2-2 in that game. And I never verbally, I was thanking all the people in chat, but I want to thank Scott, Firestone Rocks Drums, for the raid earlier. That was a big raid, one of the biggest raids we've had in a while, and so I really appreciate everyone for tuning in and being a part of it. So happy birthday to Sniper, who's a mod over there. I'm also a mod over with Scott. So we rarely stream on a Tuesday, and so it's nice that Scott also streams on a Tuesday, and so we got to see their community tonight. So I really appreciate everyone who's still lurking and being a part of that. And these dogs just snoring are cracking me up. I'm sorry, I just have to show that one more time. We got one snoring over there, and the other is snoring over there. But so I really want to thank everyone for tuning in today. I know it's a different day of the week, and so that throws a lot of people off. But I didn't want to try to compete with watching the game live, which I'm super happy I didn't. I would have been stressed out like hell last night. Yeah, it's been very exciting. I love the what Champ and Sith have been doing over the live streams. I know that C4 loves wrestling too, and I'm super happy that we were able to get together to talk about it. I will let Champ and Sith talk about one more favorite event or moment from WrestleMania or Monday Night Raw, and then we'll let Sith go. I know that it's already 10:40, and I'll let C4 go as well, and Champ and I will talk about some playoff action and some other sports as well. But Champ, I'll let you start off. Any other WrestleMania moments that you wanted to break down?
No, what I wanted to break down was the ending of Raw and this new faction that is starting to be built from Seth Rollins, adding in Braun Breaker. I forgot who. I think it was Sith actually who called it that Breaker was going to most likely be the next Paul Heyman guy, and then sure enough, he shows up and absolutely cuts down Roman Reigns and joins Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman. A great move by WWE to put that together. And now apparently there's something floating on the internet of the first ever Paul Heyman girl, Becky Lynch, because
I saw that.
They lose the tag titles 24 hours after winning them. They lose them back to Liv and Raquel. And I was heated. I was like, what was the point of them winning the tag titles in the first place?
If they were just going to have to give them right back.
And then Becky started beating the crap out of Lyra, and I said, okay, there's the point right there. Just turn Becky Lynch heel after she just came back after being gone for a year where she got a huge pop. And they immediately said, no, return her heel, and we're going to have her beat the crap out of someone who idolized her and was the reason she left Ireland to come wrestle, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, now it makes sense. They win the tag titles, lose them the next night, beat her down, turn heel. Then she might end up joining her husband and Paul Heyman and all them and do their thing and whatnot. I wouldn't be opposed to that at all.
I still am under the hopes that Brock finds his way back in. I know that that's a long shot, but
it's a huge long shot.
But can you imagine if he comes back and joins that faction? That would be a faction of giants. Woo. You know. Yeah, maybe you get Braun Breaker in there too, you know, or you get Braun Strowman in there and just get the Giants. Just call it that.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see what they end up doing with this, but I think there's a lot of room to make a really cool faction there, and I hope that they continue to build on that storyline. And I agree. I think that they're trying to get Becky to go after the Intercontinental Championship, right? So this now puts her in line to create a beef and a build for that. So it kind of makes sense. But it did seem very strange because that doesn't happen very often where the champion loses on the Raw right afterwards, because it kind of in some ways devaluates like what was the point of the WrestleMania win, as you were saying. So but I think this does get the storyline going again and kind of reminds you that, hey, yeah, you can lose titles, you know, not at a PLE, and here's a reminder that you got to always watch Raw because you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
I think that becomes an important that. Sith, what are your final takeaways or thoughts you wanted to give?
C4, Robbie, and Champ are gonna love this. The something that I think was overlooked because people are again in their feelings in the IWC. Joe Hendry did not get buried. He put a large spotlight on TNA.
Mm.
Okay, this was not a squash match. This was a, this was going to be a lot like what Miz and Shane McMahon was going to be before Shane blew both of his quads. A quick match to, kind of whet the appetites a little bit more because you just sat through all this action beforehand. Randy
Right.
Orton was going to do his open challenge. We all knew this. And you don't want a 3-minute match with the returning talent. That's why Rusev didn't show up. That's why Aleister Black didn't show up. But they figured out, hey, let's get Joe Hendry in here. TNA as a working relationship with WWE. They also have a partnership with Triple H Libre. He's very hot right now. And besides, we give him a little bit of shine here at WrestleMania when his contract is due. Maybe we can get him in.
Yeah.
And I agree with Champ and a consensus of a lot of other people. The worst match of the weekend was Charlotte Flair Tiffany Stratton. That Champ knows well. I'm a proponent of women's wrestling. C4 knows this, Robbie knows this. I love women's wrestling. I push women's wrestling. Charlotte, no. Okay.
You gotta hang it up. I don't think that there was zero interest. No one wanted her there. I get that you're being a heel or in a character, but there was so many other women I think on the roster that deserved a spot more than her. But I don't know. That's maybe my opinion. But
I'm gonna make you guys laugh. I rewatch all the shows the morning after a pay-per-view or Peely we're trying to use. I get the Charlotte Flair Tiffany Stratton, and all the happiness I had collapsed. It was like, God, I gotta sit through this fucking shit. And so I sat down, we watched it, and Champ, we were getting ready to go on with Sage that night for night 2 and on Sunday night. And I said it during that stream. I was like, that was a very hard match to rewatch because the chemistry wasn't there. You could tell that this isn't a case of, say, Hogan Savage, where we may not like each other, but we can put on magic in the ring. This was Charlotte acting in the way she did against Becky Lynch with the title exchange and against Nia Jax, which, turned into a complete shoot for a bit. These two were shooting on each other, and the match went completely off the rails. So my advice for Paul Levesque as I step away for the night is simple. Keep Charlotte out of the title picture for a while. She was trying to be the baby face. The fans rejected her. And when she finally realized, oh, I've got to heal this up, her ego got out of control. And you don't want that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a big Charlotte Flair fan to begin with, so I'm not like the person who's going to defend her, but like I don't know. I didn't feel like that was used correctly. I just think that there was a whole storyline. I don't know. There's a lot of other people that were gunning for that title earlier in the year that you could have brought back, and been a part of that, in my opinion. But anyway, all in all, I thought WrestleMania was very exciting. It definitely delivered on a lot of its promises. I am excited to see where it goes. I knew that they had to find a way to get John Cena versus Randy Orton again, and so it makes sense that this is the way that they did it. And I'm excited to sort of see that build. When is the next PLE?
May 10th, Backlash, St. Louis.
Oh yeah, so that one that'll come quick.
At least it's not what TNA is doing. They'll laugh at this. Champ and I are cringing about it. They had a special on TNA Plus Thursday night. This coming Sunday night, 10 nights later, is Rebellion. And I'm just like,
Okay.
oh.
Yeah, that's rough. I definitely like how WWE does it with the SmackDown leading up to it. Then you have the WrestleMania, and they've got the Raw, and they seem to do it right. And I did like your point about giving TNA a spotlight, and I think that I did know who he was before, say his name and it appears and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I like the gimmick with the turn. I loved Randy doing the gimmick. I thought that was great. And you could tell that he enjoyed doing the gimmick, so which I thought was also great. And so I think that is a really it's a good way to remind people that hey, this partnership's not just with like NXT and the lower brands. That hey, people can show up at any time, any place. Like watch out, and I think that that's an important thing. And I agree that it wasn't a squash match, and they're always going to make Randy look big on the WrestleMania stage, right? And so they need somebody to throw to the wolves in some ways, and he could eat it like anybody else. So, I think that was a smart match. I am sad because I did want Kevin Owens to get his ass beat by Randy Orton, and I'm sad that didn't get to play out because of injury. But I think this is probably the next best thing after that.
Yeah.
All right.
I heard all in all, it was a pretty decent match. So.
Yeah. Yeah, just because things are quick doesn't mean that they're bad. Sometimes I feel like some matches add a lot of fluff to things that are unnecessary. So
we had our podcast before what was supposed to be our season finale was entitled aptly, "Sometimes less is more."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because you've got so many different matches, right? And some of them are going to go long by design, right? But they don't all have to go long. For it to be a good show. C4, any final thoughts before we let you go?
I just wish I had been able to see more of it. But what I did see, I do have Peacock. It's just I was at my dad's house and he didn't, and my Marcus couldn't remember his credentials, and then when he finally looked them up and sent them to me, it was already halfway through night 2. So
well, it's up
and then
now.
we were
You
at the
can
game
go
last
watch
night.
it.
Yeah, you can go.
I probably will. I will. I'll watch it at some point. Probably tomorrow sometime I'll watch it. But the one match that I did see was the Logan Paul match. That match was actually quite good.
He can wrestle. It's so weird.
He actually can. I actually enjoyed that match. It was AJ Styles. That's who it was against. Yeah. I was a little surprised they put him up against AJ Styles, but I mean, it was a really good match. So that was kind of of what I saw, that was kind of my highlight. Having been at the game last night, but that's on Netflix, so I can go on Netflix and watch that one again too. So last night's.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see where that storyline goes because Cross, I think, is now they got to have him against Logan at some point, right? I mean, that's the move, right? So.
Did y'all Robbie? You saw that promo that Cross did on that show, right? He crashed out, man. He had an epic crash out.
Yeah, that was good. And he's like, maybe I will go after him, right? So, so that'll be interesting to see where they go with that storyline. But they did a good job. I mean, they had to continue so many storylines and. Like the New Day, they had to continue, that one, so there's just so many different things that they had to try to build to and to work through. So it'll be interesting to see what SmackDown brings on.
And then Walter attacking Pat McAfee.
Yeah, and choking him out. I like that they had the whole McAfee crew from the show all coming out to try to that was a nice little, add on because I feel like McAfee, his whole crew doesn't show up like that all the time, so
then there was Steve Austin crashing the ATV. Was that on purpose?
No, not in the slightest. That was not on purpose.
No.
And what was on purpose was that lady's late reaction falling down 2 or 3 seconds after it happened. She crashes in there and she literally waits like a second to 2 seconds and it says, "Oh, I've fallen." It's like, no, no, lady, no, like, no, lady, no. Like you like that was a late reaction. You're not getting money. You're on camera. Don't do it.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. All right, C4 and Seth, I'll let you guys get some rest. I know we got a big Caps game tomorrow.
Yeah. We didn't get a chance before I sign off. Scream Off the Chain podcast. We are live streaming both games tomorrow night, the Capitals game and the Avalanche game, because of Landeskog is coming back to the Avalanche. He is slated to play in Game 3 tomorrow night.
It's wild. After all these years, after winning the cup and then not playing for a bunch of years, and then coming back into the playoffs, it's just
and
wild.
he's Marcus's favorite player. He's one of his cats is named Landeskog. So
that makes sense. I've seen you talk about Landeskog, and
Landeskog is Marcus' favorite player. So it's going to be an emotional night for him. So.
For sure. I just put the link in there for the YouTube, but it's Capitals Off the Chain podcast.
Yep, and we're recording our next one Thursday night because of the games tomorrow.
Right.
So, but we're live streaming the Capitals game on YouTube, the Capitals game and the Avalanche game.
So, yeah, that sounds.
And then we'll do our regular podcast on Thursday.
Awesome. We'll definitely go check that out. And thank you, C4, for having all the footage and all the graphics from going to the game. Congrats again for going to a big victory. And we'll definitely have you back on next week. I think we may have Anna back on. I may do a big hockey show with a lot of different people next week when we're back. So
keep me posted. I should be around.
It'll be fun. There should be 2 days between hockey games, so it'll be a nice little spot to do it for that for sure. But yeah, go check out Off the Chain podcast. Thank you, C4, and definitely check out Sith. I'll do the Sith command as well. You can check out his show there on Spotify and learn about the basement and what's happening this week on the basement.
Okay, this coming Sunday, 5 p.m. Because I went to a video store in MMO and they did war and westerns together in the same section, I decided to do my top 30 films and just combine those two genres. It's really good eclectic list of movies. Yes, Unforgiven from 92 is definitely up there if you haven't seen it. I have no words, especially if you like westerns, you have to see that one. But I've got that one going on because I've been in the middle of this series of by genre, the top 30 films, which has been a lot of fun. And then the following Sunday, when Champ and I come back, it's horror, which is going to stir a major hornet's nest like you wouldn't believe. I mean, C4, I might have to edit the horror list because I alluded this in the chat earlier when I was working initially with Robbie, C4, and Caps Roundtable, and Champ was lurking too. But I'm watching a cheesy 80s movie called Chopping Mall. Now, this movie is
horror movies are so you guys subjective. By saying this. I watched both versions of it recently, the one with Tim Curry and the newer one. And quite honestly, the book scared me more than the movies did.
Yeah. I'm going to make you laugh. I'm 51. I used to make fun of my dad of falling asleep when we would watch movies, whether we bring them or go to the movies, and I've officially become my father. Oh, Lord. Anyway, much love to everyone. Have a great week. Be safe. Champ. C4 Robbie, we out.
Real quickly before you go, Seth, I do want to tell you I saw The Drop recently, which I thought was an interesting movie premise, like where basically you got to kill your date or they're going to kill your son, right? And so definitely check it out. I think you'd find it was really well shot. I thought I was like really surprised with the cinematography of it. So that one's because I've got a Regal pass, so I see movies in theater because like they're 50 cents, and I also saw The Amateur, which I thought if you like,
That was nice.
yeah, if you like Born Identity and those sorts of movies, I thought
Mm.
that was a really good movie to check out.
Yeah, I heard there's one out. I don't know if it's still out. The Woman in the Field or something is supposed
Oh
to
yeah,
be
I heard
pretty
of that
good.
one.
I heard that's supposed to be pretty good.
No,
Uh, it was fine.
The Amateur was better. You think?
Um, I gave it a 3.25 out of 5 on those spots, but I did a quick review of it when we opened a few weeks ago. I thought it was good. It's better than a lot of the Blumhouse offerings late, but it reminded me a lot of a film that came out a couple of years ago that M. Night Shyamalan did with Dave Bautista in it,
Oh yeah.
where the premise was good. The first two acts are good. You get to the third, and it just doesn't connect. And
Mm.
that's what happened with Woman in the Art, just like Back at the Cabin, which is a good movie too. I gave both 3.25 out of 5. The first two acts are good. You get to the third act, and it's just like, oh, okay, not as good. It doesn't hit the landing the way it should, but as I said, it's better than a lot of what Blumhouse has brought to us of late.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, we could talk movies for hours, but
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm gonna go to
that's
sleep.
another show for another day.
Exactly, for sure. But it's good to see you guys, C4 and Sith. It's fun to
Me
talk
too.
wrestling and the biggest event and the biggest stage, and I appreciate you both for coming on a Tuesday.
Thank you
We'll
for
see you
having
guys
me.
later.
See ya.
All right, champ. We've got
Right.
we're gonna do like a lightning round of going through these different games. I missed the ending of the Toronto game because we were chatting. So who won that game?
Which
Oh,
one?
the Maple Leafs did in overtime.
Uh,
So it was a Max Domi goal 3 minutes into the overtime. So they take a 2-0 lead in that series there. The Hurricanes beat the Devils 3-1 earlier. And the Wild and Golden Knights are about to start, and the Panthers are up 6-2 over the Lightning. Again, the Pacers won 123-115. Thunder won 118-99. The Lakers are up 20 over the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards was fined $50,000 for vulgar taunt towards Lakers fan. That series is heating up, but it's good to see the Lakers are coming off the mat because that was a disappointing loss in Game 1 for them. The Nationals did beat the Orioles 7-0.
I want to talk about that.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, that was a big time victory by the Nats. Is there something you want to talk about specifically about that one?
Yeah, so I want to talk about the pitching performance by Mitchell Parker. He went 8 innings, only gave up 1 hit in eight
Wow.
innings, struck out 4, walked 2, and got the W with the shutout. Colin Poche and Cole Henry combined in the ninth inning to finish off the shutout. Poche walked 2 and got pulled, and Henry came in and struck out the last 2 batters to finish off the shutout and finish off what was a very dominant performance for the Nationals, who ended up with 14 hits and 7 runs, including 2 home runs. One of them by Nathaniel Lowe. James Wood, who's been having a power surge as of recently, went 3 for 5, scored 2 runs in this one, and the Nats really needed this victory. They took 2 or 3 from the Rockies over in Colorado, which included they had to play a doubleheader Sunday because their Friday game got postponed due to inclement weather. It was raining and snowing in Colorado, and so because of that, they had to play a day-night doubleheader on Sunday, and they were still able to take 2 or 3 from Colorado. They only took 1 of 4 the previous series. So they really needed this victory over to really start this series off on the right foot. But it really started with a really good pitching performance by Parker. Going 8 innings and only giving up 1 hit and getting a shutout, even though it wasn't a complete game shutout, it was a shutout nonetheless, and pitching very well. So if they can continue that, going forward, I think that this Nationals team can start, especially if they can get the offense going. This Nationals team can start to really make some noise.
Yeah, it was an up and down week for the Nationals. They definitely struggled against Pittsburgh, losing 3 out of 4 in that, but did win their Tuesday game 3-0. Then, as you were saying, Colorado, they were able to take 2 out of 3, including a 12-11 win, which is a high-scoring affair for sure. And then they took the first game against Baltimore. This one is in Washington. They won that 7-0. They'll continue that series. 2 more games, Wednesday and Thursday, 6:45 start times for both of those. And then they play the New York Mets Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday in a 4-game series. So we'll break that down as well. The Nats are right now 3 games under 500. And they find themselves towards the bottom of the standings, but only 4 games back of the Yankees, who are the top team in the AL East. In the NL, where Washington is, so that was Baltimore was 19-13, and then Washington is 10-13, and then they find themselves 6.5 games back of the Mets. So that'll be a really important series against the Mets coming up here, if they want to sort of get some of that back. I want to give a shout out to Luca. They just showed his stats. He's now broken 20 points here in the first half. You can obviously tell that he took it very seriously. All the haters saying, the whole game 1 situation, and so it was. Yeah, it's been an interesting night for sure in a lot of different sports, and it's been fun to sort of cover the different playoffs. I do want to just give a quick shout out to how the NHL bracket right now. Toronto is up 2-0 over Ottawa. This Tampa Bay Florida game is the very first game in that series, but Florida is dominating. Washington is up 1-0 over Montreal. Tomorrow will be game 2. Carolina is up 2-0 over New Jersey. The next game is on Friday for that. Winnipeg Jets, I did see Stewart was in chat earlier. His Jets are up 2-0 over the Blues. The next game is on Thursday. Dallas, Colorado have tied the series 1-1 tomorrow at 9:30. C4 said that she would be covering that game live after the Caps game over on the Securum Off the Chains podcast page. And then Vegas is up 1-0 over Minnesota in their series. That continues in just a few minutes. The puck is about to drop. And then LA beat Edmonton in their first game yesterday in a crazy back and forth affair. I don't know if you heard about this game, Champ, but in the first game, LA scored the first 4 goals in the game. It looked like they were dominating. This game is in LA. It looks like Edmonton has got no answers. Leon Draisaitl with 6 seconds left in the second period scores a goal. They get a little momentum. 2:19 into the third, they're able to extend that momentum, make it 2-4. Then their power play goal for the Kings makes it 5-2. You think it's out of range, but then at 7:43, Corey Perry scores, makes it 5-3. 17:56, Zach Hyman scores, makes it 5-4. Then Connor McDavid scores with 90 seconds left in the game to tie it. It looks like it's going to go to overtime, right? But just 40 seconds or so later, the Kings win it with just about 40 seconds left in the third period and salvage the game and win it 6-5. What a wild game that was. So
playoff sports, man, it's exciting.
Yeah.
No matter what sport it is, but playoffs is when you get really amped up.
Yeah, but wow. I feel bad for our friend Adrian, who's a diehard fan of the Oilers and the Caps, and he thinks he's got it in hand for the Caps and the collapse, and then you get all nervous, and then the win, and then have to deal with that again. He's a big Oilers fan, so It was a roller coaster of emotion night for him for sure. Just going through the NBA bracket real quickly. Cleveland is up 1-0 over Miami in their series. Indiana won today. They're up 2-0 over the Bucks in their series. Detroit versus the Knicks. That series is tied 1-1. Congrats to Detroit. They had lost a ton of games in a row in the playoffs. They gotten swept in a bunch of series too. So congrats on making a series there. I know a lot of Knicks fans are not happy about that. Boston is up 1-0 over Orlando in their series. That will continue tomorrow at 7. OKC won tonight. Their next game is on Thursday. They're up 2-0 in that series. The Denver LA Clippers, that series is phenomenal. Very close. A lot of great matchups. That'll continue on Thursday as well. But they're tied in that series 1-1. The Lakers are playing the Timberwolves right now, and the Lakers are up 53-37 with 2:36 left in the first half. And tomorrow the Houston Golden State series continues, and that's a really rare series where the 7 seed is actually favored to beat a 2 seed in that one. Yeah, some exciting stuff in the NBA as well. And Cooper Flagg has announced that he is in fact declaring for the NBA draft. And be interesting to see if the Wizards losing out on some extra ping pong balls on the last day with winning a buzzer beater hurts them in the search for the flag. But we'll see how that all turns out. But Champ, any thoughts on either of the playoff brackets?
I mean, again, like I'm not really paying attention much to the NBA and whatnot, though I will be keeping my eyes glued on the NBA draft when it comes around. Hopefully, the Wizards do end up winning the lottery and getting that #1 overall pick, so that they can get younger, get a much more younger core in there. Because I think if they can get younger, then maybe just maybe they can start to show some promise and start to like push forward towards future success. Because right
They have a
now,
good young core, though. They're starting to build what you're saying right now, and people are seemingly excited about it. So that's good.
yeah, exactly. They that's what they are building that young core now. But it would be good to get someone else here, especially a high draft pick, a really talented kid out of college, and really add to that lineup and really make them a much more competitive team. And I think that's what needs to happen. And hopefully they'll have a top 5 pick and be able to do that. I would love for them to have the #1 pick, so that way they can really do something with that. But we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, let me see if this command is working. Hold on. CML. There we go. Got our soccer graphic up there. We're going to talk DC United for a moment against their arch rivals, the Red Bulls, getting a big victory this week. What were your thoughts on that one?
Well, the United were coming in on a 3-match losing streak, so they definitely needed a victory here, and they got it. Johan Peglo was able to get 2 on the board for the DC United, scoring in the 35th and 44th minute in the first half. New York evaded a shutout with a goal from Eric Maxim Chopo Moting in the 57th minute, but that was all the goal scoring there. DC United was able to outshoot the Red Bulls 12-10, including 4 shots on target to the Red Bulls 2. The Red Bulls had more possessions in this one, 68% of the possession to 32%. But in the end, it was the DC United that was able to get those 2 goals, and were able also to keep it relatively clean. And to keep it relatively clean on the field, there were only they had more fouls though than the Red Bulls, but only 3 yellow cards and no offsides. So that was a big thing. New York had 2 offsides. So very relatively clean, very good game for United. Hopefully they're able to build off this, beating one of their rivals, and not only beating one of their rivals, but beating one of their rivals at on the road to get to end that 3-match losing streak, and to be able to get 3 points on the board, which is so important in this stage right now. They're currently sitting 13th in the table on the Eastern Conference behind Atlanta and New England. So they're definitely good. You know, it's a long season, but they definitely have some work to do if they're going to be competitive in the Eastern Conference. Charlotte sits at the top at the table. They're tied with Cincinnati with 19 points. Inter Miami, Columbus, Philly, Nashville, Orlando City, Chicago, and the very Red Bulls that the East United just beat are the top 9 teams in the East. If the playoffs were to start right now, those would be the teams going into the MLS playoffs, with Chicago and New York facing off each other in the play-in to determine who would be the eighth seed and face Charlotte in the playoffs.
Yeah, so we play the Philadelphia Union next, and that'll be an interesting matchup because they're one of those teams in the top 8 that we need to win. And as you were saying, we're only 3 points out, so we just need to start banking some wins here and some big games coming up. After the Philadelphia Union one, they'll play on May 3rd against the Colorado Rapids, and the 10th against Toronto FC, and the 14th versus New York FC, and then the 17th at Nashville SC. So there'll be a lot of games happening in early May, and that'll be their opportunity to try to make a run for it for sure. Let's switch gears. I'm going to switch my graphics around here and put up the Defenders graphic. I was really disappointed in this game. I don't know if you got a chance to watch the replay of it, Champ.
I watched it.
Yeah, so the Defenders looked lost at times in the first half. I thought they put together a really good second half, and man, they were so close to tying this game. I mean, they got into the red zone. They were down just a touchdown. There's opportunities there, and they fell a little bit short to a Brahmas team that desperately needed to get a win, right? So they were staring down 0-4. And man, it sucks because Mond is their quarterback, Champ, and you have to understand he was the Aggies quarterback for years, and so I rooted for Kellen Mond for so long, and like one of my favorite college quarterbacks, and I know that they've been struggling, and so watching him have a great game, I was so happy for him, but like it just sucks that it was at our, because we had an opportunity to be the only team to go 4-0. And so now we are tied in the standings at 3-1 with Arlington and Birmingham as well. On the other side of the bracket is also, and Michigan are all 3-1 teams. And it'll be interesting to see where it goes there. What were some of your thoughts on this week 4 matchup?
This game was the epitome of the old saying of football is not played on paper, it's played on grass. A lot of people would have looked at this matchup, an undefeated Defenders team, one of the best defenses in the league, against a winless Brahmas team that's been struggling the first 3 games of the season, and everybody probably wrote the Brahmas off and thought, "Oh, this is a W," especially because it was at Audi Field. It was a road game for the Brahmas, but they went out there and was scrappy and did what they needed to do to win this game. Kellen Mond, as you mentioned, former Texas A&M Aggie, 14 of 20, 121 passing yards, and did have a passing touchdown. But Aiden Robbins was their MVP, even though he only had 4 rushes for 13 yards. 2 of those rushes went for touchdowns. While on the other side, Jordan Teamo continues to be not a very accurate quarterback and continues to miss open targets and not really putting the ball where it needs to be. 19 of 31. He only completed 61.3% of his passes for 299 yards. So yardage-wise, this was his best game of the season so far. He did have the 1 touchdown, and he also had a rushing touchdown as well on a beautiful zone read where he read the defender coming in perfectly, pulled the ball, took it on the outside, got it in the end zone for the touchdown. He also has 74 yards rushing on 10 carries on top of his 299 yards passing. And so he was responsible for 2 of the touchdowns that they were able to score on this one. But it was just a situation where the Brahmas were a much more scrappier team and were able to take the fact that they're winless going up against an undefeated team who 2 seasons ago was this close to winning the XFL championship, even though they weren't competitive last season, and so they still were able to go in there and do what they needed to do. Running the ball was something that I've stressed for the first 3 games that the defenders needed to do. This week they were able to get 117 yards of rushing combined from 4 different rushers, including Abram Smith, who had 40 yards. He did leave the game briefly with an injury, but still they were able to balance it out just a little bit, but it still did not equate to a win. Defensively, the defense was still very, very stout, very, very strong, did what they needed to do, but unfortunately, offensively, they weren't able to put up the points that they needed to do in order to get the victory. And the defense did let up enough that the Brahmas were able to come in and score their first victory of the season. So hopefully next week, this team is able to rebound and to get back and get to another win, because remember, it's only a 10-game season, so every victory counts and every loss could be costly, and they got to go on the road to Arlington and face the Renegades, which is another pretty fierce rival of the Defenders, and that game is upcoming on Sunday, and so that's going to be another tough one for them to deal with.
Yeah, this is basically like the Cowboys of the XFL, and so they're both 3-1. It'll be a noon game on Sunday on ESPN. And I have to say that I'm very frustrated with the UFL. I think they put together an incredible product, and their broadcast partners are doing them such a disservice by not hyping them more. They're on Fox, they're on ESPN, they're on ABC, but you don't see enough of the highlights on ESPN and other things on social media. Like I never see UFL highlights on like ESPN social media or Fox's, and it's an incredible product. I thought this game was right up there with NFL games of quality, like to the end. Both teams really pushing hard for it, and I'm frustrated that our quarterback isn't a little bit more accurate. I'm wondering if he's injured, because there's just something that seems off in his throw. It's just in the hitch of the throw. It just doesn't, like, some of these throws are like way behind them and just not even close. But anyway, but I have to give a shout out to the production value and quality. Them walking through why a penalty is a penalty, why things are, and saying, hey, I'm sorry, this isn't enough. Or, hey, I screwed up a different thing that you didn't challenge. I'm going to give it back to you, right? You would never see that in the NFL.
Absolutely not. Not at all.
Yeah, so and the cameras are incredible. There's cameras from the point of view of the umpires, so you can see, or the officials, so you can see what they're seeing. Because sometimes you're like, what are they seeing? Well, now you can know, right? And then there's
not only that, but cameras on the players, yeah.
Yeah, I love the chest cameras. The fact that you could see it, it reminded me of the Madden mode when you could be the running back. Remember that? And and I love that. What a cool, unique perspective, and their ability to map cameras in real time and say, "Hey, we need to beat more to try to figure out and get this right." Which I appreciate. I also love that they can stitch different angles together to really make sure that, hey, that knee was down, and we saw it from the ref's camera or from the chest camera of this other guy. So their ability to slow the game down. I know that some people that are at the game be like, oh, it slows it down, whatever. I'd rather them get it right. There's too much in the NFL that they miss. The game's too fast, and you would never hear the NFL admitting a mistake, and you hear it in the UFL a lot. Like, oh, we missed this. Let's fix it. Let's get this right before the next play, and get it set up. And I think it makes for a really wonderful product, and one that is not pushed hard enough. And I'm really mad at The Rock that he gets so much airtime, doing all of his different ventures. And he, ever since he sold the XFL and they merged, he's basically like, I'm out. And It kills me because even if he talked about it for 1 minute of a 10-minute spot on ESPN, right? It would give so much more eyeballs to that sport. It wouldn't be hard. And I don't know. I just think that I get that he's sold and he doesn't have to be as committed anymore, but he's still an owner. I just, I don't know. It's just my frustration because I think this sport could be great. I was gripped. I loved this game. I watched the whole game. And I think people think, oh, it's spring football, it's not as good. It's higher quality than a lot of college football games that I've watched. And the angles that we get and the ability to admit when things are wrong and the production value around it are better than some NFL games I've watched this season.
Yeah, no, trust me, your frustration is very much warranted and acknowledged because I feel the same frustrations. I have a sports app that still doesn't even include the scores for
Yep.
the
The Yahoo
XFL.
one I use doesn't include it either.
And it's very frustrating because it's a league that's been around since the XFL, and it's really revolutionizing how we watch and enjoy football.
Yeah.
And it needs to be recognized a lot more. Honestly, it really does, because a lot of the players who come from the XFL are coming to the NFL and getting their chance to play in the NFL and stuff like that. And I think that it needs to be recognized a lot more. I think a lot of NFL teams are paying attention to the UFL as well, because that's where they're seeing a lot of their players that they bring into camp. Some of them may not make it out of camp, they may get released, or some of them may make the roster or may make a practice squad. But either way, this league is got a lot of people's attention. I mean, look at our coaching staff. Our head coach, our DC, both left either before or during the season to go coach at college.
Mhm.
If that doesn't tell you that this league has a lot of eyes on it, but not enough hype, that should be a great indicator of that. The fact that two of our coaches who have been with this team for the longest time ended up taking jobs at colleges.
Because the colleges threw money at them because they saw they were doing a good job, and they saw that they were being undervalued in the UFL, right? And so it's just disappointing because I'm so excited that we have a team because there's not that many teams. There's only 8 teams, and I don't feel like people in this area, in this market, talk about them nearly enough. And I'm mad because I really want to go to a game. I just, it's hard to find, time. Things are busy, whatever. But like, man, I really want to go to that last game of the regular season badly because I just think that it's such a great product and I want to support it because I'm scared that it's going to go away.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that it definitely people need to get behind it because it's a great, everybody complains once the Super Bowl is done. Oh, I wish I had football. I wish football was here. I can't wait for football season. Hey, the UFL is on right now. That's football, but no one watches it. They only want to watch the NFL. It's like, hello, y'all, you cry about there's no football, but there actually is football. You're just not wanting to watch it because it's not the NFL. So basically, when you're sitting there crying and whining about, I wish there's football, no, you're saying you wish there was NFL football. Because if you truly wanted to watch football, you'd watch the XFL or the UFL. Because I know I do.
But that's the whole thing is like Fox and ABC own huge rights to this. Like these parent companies, unlike most broadcast partners, when you talk about other sports, like they bought in their ownership, right? So like, why aren't they producing more video packages hyping this? Like I don't. Those are you got Disney has so much money. I don't understand. Like I don't get it. Like
It feels like to me the way the UFL is being treated, it feels like the way Turner treated WCW before WCW said, you know what, we're gonna make our own, we're gonna make waves and make y'all pay attention to us and make y'all invest in us and stuff like that. Because Turner, for the longest time, and Sith to tell you this as well, because he's an old school wrestling fan like I am, that Turner did not want to buy in to being a network showing wrestling, but yet they had it on both TBS and TNT. And made them buy into wrestling. And I think that's what the UFL needs to continue to do, is to make Disney buy in to this product and to invest in it with marketing and promotion and stuff like that, because then they're going to realize, okay, this is a cash cow. We need to like really take advantage of this.
Ted is on YouTube. Hi, Ted. And said, I've been loving the UFL. I hope that they expand to 2 or 4 more teams and become more competitive. I agree. I think that they should have kept the Dragons in Seattle, and they got to find a way to bring them back, because that was a very popular team. And I think that Ted's down in Carolina. I think the Carolinas could have a team. There's a lot of fan base and support of football down in the South, whether it be the Carolinas or Georgia or something like that. And then they got to find a way. I know that the economics are tough in California, but you got to bring the West Coast along for the ride. I think that would help. And find a couple of California teams as well. If you could expand a Seattle team, a California team, a New York team, and a Carolina team, 2 more East, 2 more West sort of situations, and figure out where they fall in the XFL versus UFL, or maybe you do a realignment sort of situation. Because I don't know if UFL versus XFL divisions, like I understand why you did that initially, but I could see adding some teams and realigning by geographic location would probably make for more interesting rivalries. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to be done, and I think
You definitely got to have a New York team in there. You can't have a football league
like a New York and an LA team, right? If you have
without New York and LA, those are the biggest markets in the United States. How do they not have professional football teams outside of the NFL? Like, come on.
Yeah, I agree. And they have had teams before in different leagues, but not in this one. So I think that because there was the Guardians, right? So they definitely had them. It's hard because California, there's some really restrictive laws on creating teams and generating revenue through that, and so I think that's why they've kind of stayed away from California, from what I've heard. But I agree. I think you got to have an LA, you got to have a Seattle, you got to have a New York team, maybe even a Philly team, as well, and or a Boston team, or something, New England-ish. So there's a lot of these areas I think that you could expand into. I mean, they've got it in Memphis for, like it's just like. It is such a huge, or even Michigan, which I understand that football is big in Michigan, but there definitely is untapped markets for sure, and especially when you got Disney money to throw around, they could be throwing around a lot more money at this, and I think they'd get a better thing. I honestly think that there's so many people who just don't even know about it still.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I think that's a big issue, especially when you're not in the bigger markets like LA, like New York, and places like that. Hell, even markets like Seattle or somewhere in New England like Boston, places like that. If you put a UFL team there or in any of those markets, I think you could really get more eyes on the product and things like that. And I think that that's where they're lacking. Honestly, it's not being in the bigger markets. Of course, you're in a big market like in Texas or in DC. Yeah, that's good. But what about these other big markets?
right. And I mean, to give credit where credit is due, St. Louis, after losing their NFL team, they threw a lot of support behind their XFL team, now UFL team. So, and they've got some great numbers, with their attendance over there. And it's just interesting to see where it goes. I kind of, and this might be a hot take, think that they should reinvigorate a partnership with WWE again. And like the XFL of old, they already have The Rock, who owns a chunk of both, right? And
Yeah.
throw wrestlers on the sideline. I don't know. I love that shit back in the original XFL. That was wild. But just other ways to get eyeballs onto it, I think, could be interesting too. And there's definitely opportunity. That's why I'm so mad that Rock has such a huge platform right now, and I think that they're swinging and missing with it. And he himself could just bring a lot of eyeballs to it if he wanted to. So,
Correct.
and so. Anthony Edwards is dragging his Timberwolves back into this game, and it's 58-45 in this one. So it's interesting that we got Timberwolves and we've got the Wild both playing right now. So some Minnesota love across the playoffs there, and it's still 0-0 in that Vegas game, but I think we can start to wrap it up. Is there any other sports that you think that we should be talking about? I think we covered them almost them all.
Yeah, we pretty much covered them all. I mean, we got. I think isn't the NFL draft this weekend?
Oh, when is the NFL draft? Yeah, that might be right. 2025.
Oh, one wrestling note we didn't talk about, Robbie, was the announcement that WWE made prior to night one of WrestleMania as their acquisition of AAA in Mexico. That's a huge, huge move by WWE to acquire one of the oldest professional wrestling organizations in the world in AAA. That adds a lot more talent that can cross over into NXT and the main roster. And I just got a note from my guy Sage, who's our New Japan analyst and contributor, who said that Alberto El Patron, formerly known as Alberto Del Rio in WWE, was just released from AAA. So 3 days after the announcement of the acquisition of AAA, someone who has been a problematic part of the pro wrestling world is now out of a job from AAA. So already making an impact is WWE on AAA immediately.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see because that one has bunch of luchadors in it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so and I think that the luchadors have become very popular recently. I mean, they always are, but like there's been a resurgence of that, I would say, lately. And so I think that to try to bring more luchadors, more factions possibly, and storylines and crossovers, as you were saying. Be interesting to see if there's anything crossover with TNA happens because now there's all these different partnerships, yeah, as well, or NXT. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes from there. But yeah, it's been a fun show. I'm happy we were able to do it on a Tuesday. I appreciate everyone for being able to tune in and being a part of it. I'm gonna take a quick look to see.
And the draft is this week. Is
Yeah,
the
I did
24th to
see
the
that.
26th.
Yeah, it's Thursday, right? That's when it starts. So it'll be interesting to see. So we'll definitely recap our picks or who gets drafted for the Commanders and the Ravens next week as part of our ongoing playoff coverage. And lots to cover on a lot of different fronts for sure. Just taking a quick look here. To see if there's anybody online that I would like to raid. But champ, it's been super fun. I really enjoyed your streams, and I hope that people, if they'd like to catch some of the reactions, those VODs are up on your channels, and then people should go check those out as well. And also check out your upcoming. You take a week off right before your next main podcast.
That's correct. We will be taking this week off. We will be premiering season 7, not this coming Sunday, which is the 27th, but the first Sunday in May. We will be doing our season 7 premiere. We are going to give our thoughts to our listeners of WrestleMania weekend, as well as our thoughts on the upcoming Rebellion pay-per-view coming up for CNA Wrestling, as well as the week that precedes when we return from our break. But yes, that's what's going on there.
Sounds good. I'm going to raid a friend I don't think we've ever raided before. And the benefit of doing it on a different day. Just Dreaming is a good friend of mine, and so I'm gonna have it generate that. Yeah, so definitely go check out Champ and Sith and all the stuff that they're doing. I'll do the Champ command and the Sith command, so definitely go follow them. And thank you to C4 for joining us earlier, and Gil as well. Put all of those in chat. Grab whatever different raid command or raid call you want to do. You can do the sub raid. Or the one that was generated above. And let me just now raid over to just. So yeah, let me just start this. And yeah, I really appreciate everyone for tuning in, and especially on a Tuesday. We'll be back to our Monday regular scheduled programming next week. Lots of stuff to cover. NHL playoffs, Caps, NBA playoffs. We'll talk a little bit of baseball, soccer, Defenders is that battle for the top spot in the XFL division. Minnesota Wild just scored second goal, 2 quick goals right there by the Wild over the Knights, and I guess the Timberwolves are coming back and they made it an 11-point game. So lots of fun stuff to cover on all those fronts. Also the draft and any other WWE news. So thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.
Gokigenyo. Sayonara.